we plan to invest an additional 12.7 billion US dollars in our local cloud infrastructure in India by the year 2030. The market trend that I saw on my trip to India is the appetite, the willingness, and the ability to export, if you will. It's been a very unusual time, and I think it's been an uncertain time. A lot of economic uncertainty. A lot of people have told me they've seen better times, they've seen worse times, but they've never seen more uncertain. If you look at economic downturns, you think about companies in the 2008 timeframe like Uber and Airbnb who got going, building on AWS in those timeframes. Those are the worldwide leaders now, and I expect more of those to come out of this economic time, and I suspect a lot of those will come from India.
Those were bullish bets coming in from Adam Selipsky, CEO of Amazon Web Services, or AWS, the $80 billion cloud computing arm of online retail giant Amazon that is investing $12.7 billion more in India. In an exclusive and candid chat with Economic Times' Romita Majumdar and Surbhi Agarwal, Adam discusses the growing need for security and regulation certainty around data localization in a globally connected cloud world. The AWS chief also opens up about the newest business battlefield of AI. It's Thursday, June 1st, and you're listening to the Economic Times Corner Office Conversations with AWS CEO on The Morning Brief.
So I'll sort of, dive straight into the conversation with the big number. 12.7 billion is the kind of investment that AWS has committed to India till 2030. Could you take us through some of the highlights of that investment? How do you look at India? What does India mean to AWS?
We've already, between 2016 and 2022, AWS invested 3.7 billion US dollars in India. A lot of that was around our first big infrastructure region or big set of data centers in Mumbai. And so on top of the 3.7 billion, as you just referenced, we are announcing that we plan to invest an additional 12.7 billion US dollars in our local cloud infrastructure in India by the year 2030. A lot of that investment will be in our new Hyderabad infrastructure region that we launched last year, as well as, of course, continuing to grow the Mumbai infrastructure region that was launched in 2016. We're also investing a lot of other things around that. So as part of our announced path to be 100% renewable energy across the entire company by 2025, we've become the largest corporate purchaser of renewable energy in the world. And a lot of that's happening in India.
I want to understand slightly in detail, how do you look at India? There are many companies who look at India as an R&D center where increasingly a lot of innovation is being driven out of India. There are some set of companies for whom delivery is a very large part of what they do out of India. Of course, Indian market in itself is huge and growing. So what does India mean for AWS? Which part of these sort of three pies are very significant for you? And over the next 5-10 years, how do you think that India will shape up to be in the overall AWS equation?
Well, I mean, these are all important areas for AWS. So for sure, we will have engineers and other professionals in India, which will help to drive our worldwide business. And obviously, that's a very common model, just given the skills that exist in India and the fact that there are over 9 million developers in the country. So for sure, that'll be important. In addition, second piece is our partner ecosystem. So we work really closely with systems integrators and consultants, folks like Wipro, but many others as well. And we continue to serve customers not only in India, but worldwide through those SI partnerships. So that's an important second piece. But the third piece, and frankly, a piece I'm incredibly excited about, is helping India to digitally transform and to achieve its digital potential. So I think at the end of the day, I have to say that's what I'm most excited about because I've met the companies. I've been with Axis Bank, third largest private bank in India, and I've talked to them about how they're going to migrate over 70% of their IT, 70% of their applications to AWS over the next 2 years. And that's new applications that have never been built before. It's a bunch of their core IT as well. And it's just a really exciting opportunity for enterprises like that. In addition, we're working with all digital pillars of the country, and many of them are being built on AWS. The digital locker is built on AWS. The CoWIN COVID solution was built entirely on AWS. So whether it's enterprise, whether it's government, whether it's all the startups, we really see the innovation happening across a very broad spectrum. And we understand the digital transformation that's happening before everybody's eyes in India. And we realize our pivotal role in helping to enable that and helping our customers to drive the innovation that they're looking for.
Since you mentioned about the digital public goods, I guess CoWIN and digital locker, those are two very, very interesting use cases. What do you think about this innovation in the field of digital sort of public goods, which is being built out of India? There's a lot of talk about how India wants to export its DPIs. There's a lot of interest from other countries, especially for adopting solutions like CoWIN, which obviously helped a lot during the pandemic. So are these use cases, having worked with Indian government on CoWIN and DigiLocker, are these some of the solutions that you can possibly sort of offer to your clients, or is there a possibility that you see going forward?
This was absolutely a very market trend that I saw on my trip to India, is the appetite, the willingness, and the ability to export, if you will. Really an interesting trend that we've seen worldwide that's certainly happening in India as well, is that so many companies are becoming, I guess you might say, software companies, or at least solutions companies. And as they build solutions for themselves, they actually want to package those up and make them available to other companies to consume as well. And we've seen this with banks like Goldman Sachs, partnered with us on data and analytics solutions. You can see it in a variety of industries. And yes, I could also see doing that partnership with government applications. So I think across both the private and the public sector, I saw real appetite and a potential for India-based organizations to be selling or standing up these applications in other parts of the world.
One area that I would like to understand is, there's a lot of discussion that's been happening in terms of clients, especially when it comes to spending on tech. Clients are kind of slowing down. And we have seen that in a lot of the cloud numbers as well. The clients are kind of pulling back on the extent to which they would have spent even a year or two ago. I would like to understand, how do you see the outlook in 2024 in terms of cloud spending and overall revenue growth? I mean, 23 and 24, I would say.
Well, there's no doubt that it's been a crazy few years. If you go back, obviously, to the pandemic starting in 2020, and there was some very significant roller coaster rides for a lot of different companies, a lot of different industries. And then the war in Ukraine. It's been a very unusual time. And I think it's been an uncertain time. A lot of economic uncertainty. A lot of people have told me they've seen better times, they've seen worse times, but they've never seen more uncertain times. And I think a lot of companies have reacted to that uncertainty by saying, hey, let's just be careful. Let's be measured in our spending. Let's make sure we're being really efficient in everything we do. And one of the real benefits of the cloud is the ability to react. It is the ability to both grow and shrink your infrastructure rapidly. So we've had a number of customers across a lot of different countries, different industries, who have done what I'll call belt tightening. And this is no surprise. I mean, so many companies across so many different industries have done this. Amazon itself, of course, has been doing some of that. And with that belt tightening, we have customers looking to make sure they're really making the most out of the resources they spend in the cloud. They're also, in some cases saying, hey, there's some things which maybe we'll wait a little bit and take on that project a little bit later. But the most important thing we've seen with these uncertain economic times is that it's really a reason to lean into the cloud more. And we see so many companies leaning into their cloud journeys, not despite the economic uncertainty, but precisely because of it. So not only are the cost savings there, our average enterprise customer probably saves around 30% by moving to the cloud, but the elasticity, the agility, the ability to grow and shrink resources on demand, and very importantly, the agility, the business agility. So companies innovate so much faster on the cloud that they can, even as they're trying to be frugal with their spending, they can still innovate if they have this rapid innovation environment on AWS. I mean, this economic cycle we're in isn't going to last forever. And when companies come out of it with growth, the ones who are investing now, who are innovating now, despite the economic uncertainty, are going to be the winners. So in the short term, I do think there's some belt tightening going on. If you look at the medium and the long term both, we're very, very comfortable with the move to AWS, that it's going to continue, and with the shape of our business long term.
Adam, I just wanted to have a follow-up question on that. How does India look to you in this context?
India has absolutely remained incredibly energized, high growth. It's been a great area for us. I mean, worldwide, only a small minority of IT spend has moved to the cloud, and that includes India. We're still at the beginning, at the early stages of adoption amongst enterprises and public sector customers. And if you look at economic downturns, you think about companies in the 2008 timeframe like Uber and Airbnb who got going building on AWS in those timeframes. Those are the worldwide leaders now, and I expect more of those to come out of this economic time. And I suspect a lot of those will come from India.
Just a follow-up on the same query would be, you already have announced partnerships with telecom providers in India. I want to understand how integral are these partnerships, the strategic partnerships with communication companies or system integrators and all? To what extent do they kind of help in the growth and expansion plans for AWS in India? And how important are they to the model itself?
Telecom's a very significant sector for us worldwide as we work with folks like Verizon and Dish in the US, Telefonica, many others around the world. And we've got really important, exciting relationships in India as well. And this is particularly important as this is not only serving customers, but is also national infrastructure. So it kind of serves, it's partly a public sector and partly a private sector collaboration, if you will. And a lot of this is happening around 5G and the really exciting potential for 5G services to be offered not only to consumers, but also to enterprises and businesses. And we've seen telecoms around the world really become more efficient, as well as moving a lot faster and delivering innovative new services by moving onto the cloud. So specifically, Bharti Airtel, obviously amongst the leading telecom providers in India, AWS and Bharti Airtel have a multi-year strategic collaboration agreement. And with that, we together are going to help them deliver really a comprehensive set of innovative cloud solutions to large enterprises, as well as small and medium-sized enterprise customers in India. And just as an example, I mean, there's a lot of 5G-driven capabilities in hospitals, for example. We're running trials of actually delivering patient care with 5G services. And we're really excited to continue to build out 5G with Bharti Airtel. So important collaboration and a good example of the type of collaboration we're doing with very significant and important enterprises in India.
So, Adam, I want to now come to the AI question. It's like the most important topic of discussion. I think all conversations start and end with AI and generative AI. So we wanted to understand from you that, how does AWS look at AI as a force? How will AI change the way AWS functions? What will it mean for your clients? Do you look at it as a disruptive force? Do you look at something that will completely change your business model?
Well, there's no doubt that generative AI is incredibly important. It's incredibly exciting. We think that it will impact in fundamental ways, really almost every application that people interact with and that people see, whether that's on a B2B or a consumer basis. If you take a step back, Amazon has been working on machine learning and AI for literally decades. So if you go back to personalization on the AWS website, which was a big breakthrough in the late 90s, that's machine learning. That was artificial intelligence. It just wasn't called that at that moment in time. If you fast forward to AWS launched SageMaker, which is our machine learning platform, in 2017. And today there are over 100,000 AWS business customers using SageMaker. If you look at these LLMs or large language models that everybody's talking about, those are actually in production today inside of Amazon, powering things like Alexa responses and search on the Amazon retail site. So Amazon has invested a lot and has a lot of expertise and capabilities in machine learning in general, in AI within that, and now in generative AI as well. And we are investing, very, very substantially in generative AI across AWS and many other divisions within Amazon. And we've already announced some really exciting things in generative AI with a lot more to come. Our goal is to democratize generative AI by providing choice in AI models. So we announced Amazon Bedrock a few weeks ago, which is a managed service for accessing and running many different foundation models. It'll be integrated with all the other AWS services, and there'll be great choice. Besides the choice, very importantly, it's going to be built from day one with enterprise security and enterprise privacy in mind. I talked to 2 Fortune 100 enterprise CIOs about a week or two ago who have both banned ChatGPT from their enterprise usage because they've been worried about what happens to the data. Well, where does my data go? So, we are built from day one so that your data only stays, with you. And also importantly, any improvements that you make to the model by feeding it your use cases and improving the algorithms of the models will only stay with you. So think of it as a honeycombed or private instantiation, if you will, of the parameters of the model. And we're making sure that it's got that enterprise-grade security and privacy built in from the very beginning. And that's really important to so many of the customers that we've worked with.
Adam, how do you look at the future of this particular industry now that we have generative AI and it is supposed to be like the biggest disruptive force that this industry has produced? How does this industry look to you 5-10 years down the line? Because AI seems to be eating everybody's lunch, or so it's feared.
I do think it'll be really intrinsic and will impact customer experiences in every arena. But we're incredibly excited about it because it means that it's just another chance to innovate. And it also means that we will embed AI capabilities into all of our services over time. In many cases, in ways that our customers won't see. They'll just see our services become smarter, become easier to use, become more integrated, more graceful. And we already have many, many teams racing, working as fast as they can to figure out and to implement, how they're going to make use of generative AI to make fantastic customer experiences. I also think it'll help in the security arena. So we always say security is job zero at AWS. It is the most important thing we do. And we think there'll be a lot of security possibilities for how we embed generative AI to improve AWS security even further.
I just want to understand, when the entire business took off, the whole point was that, it could be a solution that could be offered across geographies. But now we're increasingly looking at a world where globalization is basically decreasing for some reason or the other, be it geopolitical, concerns, be it security concerns. Countries are kind of clamping down on how even cloud services are provided. So I kind of wanted to understand, how do you see this kind of evolving as we go forward?
I think that there are 2 things are true, which might sound contradictory, but they're not at all. One is there's absolutely heightened interest in data sovereignty, and countries, in general, it's countries, doesn't have to be at the country level, but we'll say countries wanting to specify how data will be handled and what data should reside where and what should stay on shore, essentially. But then a second trend, which continues unabated, is the need for worldwide cloud infrastructure. So if you just take India, for example, we have US and European-based companies, doing large business in India, and they need AWS in India to serve Indian customers. And then we have India-based customers who are serving worldwide audiences, business as well as consumer, and they need to access infrastructure and drive businesses and go-to-market strategies. They all need that worldwide infrastructure. And the fact that, we are built so that if you stand up that application in Mumbai, you can easily also go stand it up in some other country in Asia Pacific and in Europe and North or South America is absolutely critical to our customers. And to know that you get the same security and the same availability and operational performance and the same support, from our very extensive teams and in going to market together is absolutely crucial. And that's been a big part of why we've grown so quickly. But at the same time, as you mentioned, there is interest in digital sovereignty, if you will, and a country saying, hey, we'd like certain types of data, for example, to only reside in our country. Now, the good news is that AWS was designed from day one to really be regionalized. So this concept of an infrastructure region like Mumbai, there's no worldwide control plane where we kind of move your data around. Customers make an API call or an action on our management console, and it is region specific. So if you put data into Mumbai, you're only putting it into Mumbai. If you put it into Tokyo, you're only putting it into Tokyo. A lot of other cloud providers, by the way, didn't build that way. They did build with a worldwide plane where data and other information could kind of shift around more easily. And so I think it's been harder for them to really regionalize, if you will. There are many different pieces to these layers of digital sovereignty, but we believe that countries will have the right to say how they want data to be treated in their country. And we've been very active partners and I think have the leading edge capabilities around that, even as we enable all companies, all organizations to operate worldwide where and how they want to.
AI, security, and cloud. Words that will definitely be trending in not just tech conversations, but conversations across corner offices as businesses redefine themselves in the new era of uncertainty as well as innovation. New battlefields are being drawn with AI utilization as the elusive goal. Who will be the winner? Well, time will have to tell. But here at the Economic Times, we will continue to get conversations that get you more clarity. Follow us on the podcast platform of your choice as next week on The Morning Brief on June 9th, we bring to you an exclusive conversation with OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. You don't want to miss it. For now, it's a wrap on this episode of The Morning Brief. Shout out to the team that put this together. Ramita Majumdar and Surbhi Agarwal, who were in conversation with Adam. On the production side, Sumit Pandey and Rajas Nayak on sound. And executive producers Arijit Anirban and yours truly, Anupriya Nair. Thank you for listening in and remember to click that follow button.